Well, as the Brexit negotiations continue to drag on, and we're looking at potentially even going into December now, of course, the transition period ending at the end of this year. And a new report that's come out that I really, really do not like the sound of, and is a real warning sign, I think, for Brexiteers of what the EU are now suggesting. Going to bring you all the very latest in this report, guys, but as ever, please start off by hitting the subscribe button and the bell. Lots going on. I don't want you to miss future reports on this channel. I'm doing videos now, doing reports on this channel nearly every day. Really don't want you to miss out, so make sure you subscribe. Now, Harry Cole of The Sun, tweeting, something fishy. Brexit negotiators secretly haggling over fishing fudge that could see trade talks reopened in 10 years. Now, fundamentally, this point, I'm going to get into I'm going to bring you all the latest on this. But this would be the opposite of a clean break from the EU. This would be essentially agreeing a deal or some sort of fudge, and then the EU wanting to renegotiate in 2030. Really interesting, isn't it? That this is only coming out now, with the clock running. And again, it seems to me that the negotiations, they say, progress is being made, progress is being made. But it seems to go round in circles on fisheries, on dispute mechanisms, on the level playing field. And then we get suggestions thrown in by the EU of renegotiation in 2030. Here's what The Sun is saying. Brexit negotiators are secretly haggling over a fishing fudge that could see the EU and UK Brexit trade deal reviewed in 10 years' time, The Sun revealed. In a bid to unlock deadlocked talks, Britain offered up a review clause on any fishing agreement after 3 to 5 years, but Brussels wants it in 10 to 15 years. And crucially, they are demanding, The Sun report, the appraisal must be of the whole trade deal, not just fishing, opening the door to a decade more of negotiations. This is the complete and total opposite of a clean break. Being entangled with the European Union for a decade and more to come. And as The Sun say, the EU could once more use access to their markets to put the squeeze on number 10 for a greater share of spoils of Britain's waters. Last night, the fishing industry chiefs urged Boris Johnson to reject the idea out of hand. One source, quoted by The Sun, is saying they still don't get it. They are still demanding 80% of the access they have now for UK waters and are sticking to that demand. Barry Dee from the National Federation of Fishermen's Organisations said, I'm sure that a 10-year deal with a link to trade would suit the EU very well, but it would not be compatible with the UK status as an independent coastal state, and I would expect it to be rejected if tabled. The Times with another report on this. Britain opposes EU's bid for renegotiation in 2030. Britain will resist a European Union demand for a review of a future trade, security and fishing deal in 2030 if countries such as France are unhappy with the loss of fish catch quotas. The expected demand, a further potential sticking point, as talks go to the wire over the next few weeks, would give the EU the chance to call the whole agreement into question over fisheries, throwing trade between Britain and Europe into question in 10 years. The demand posed by Michel Barnier, the EU's chief negotiator, of course, would allow the EU to trigger a renegotiation of quotas in 2030 and link any complaints over the impact of a fishing treaty to the whole agreement, ranging from trade tariffs to road haulage to all electricity connections. The unconventional, well, that's one word for it, I guess, unconventional mechanism linking fishing to all aspects of the agreement would be unprecedented. It would potentially usher in a new Brexit crisis, giving the EU leverage over Britain in the years to come. One diplomat quoted in the Times is saying, this is an idea on the European side to try and get a deal across the line for EU countries at the final moment. It is not yet in the draft, but probably will be. Interestingly enough, the Times also report, and I've talked about this on the channel before, Lord Frost, the British, of course, the UK's chief negotiator, has offered, and this is what the Times is saying, has offered the EU a transition period of at least 3 years to allow French, Irish, Dutch, Danish and Belgian fishing communities time to adjust to new fishing quotas after 2021. His negotiators are said to be resisting attempts to link fish to trade after a final agreement because it would allow the EU to unravel a future deal, prolonging instability and uncertainty for trade. And I'll reiterate it again. Interesting, isn't it, that this is just coming out now? The EU now seemingly pushing for this now. As the clock ticks down, with the UK not having walked away, having previously set out a 15th of October deadline. Express. Boris warned, don't sell out Britain as Brexit deal looms. The UK and the EU could be on the verge of a breakthrough in the Brexit talks, with sources saying the two parties are at a sensitive moment. More than 100 Tory backbenchers have been briefed by the Centre for Brexit Policy, an influential cross-party think tank, on how to determine whether the Brexit deal will fulfil the 2019 commitment and the Leave referendum promise to take back control. And by the way, I do think now, the fact that deadlines have been set and missed and the UK hasn't walked away, I do think there will be a deal. I could be wrong, of course. Let me know what you think. But I do think a deal is going to be done. The Centre for Brexit Policy has produced a Brexit deal scorecard that measures the degree to which the final Brexit deal is consistent with the Conservative election manifesto of 2019, and has provided this scorecard to every member of the European Research Group of Conservative MPs and every Tory MP as well, interestingly enough, who won a so-called red wall seat from Labour in the 2019 general election. This includes ensuring the whole UK, including Northern Ireland, leaves the EU fully at the end of the transition period. They also want Britain to be free to set its own tariffs, make its own trade deals, and not be subject to a foreign court in Luxembourg. Former Conservative Party leader Ian Duncan Smith, quoted as saying, Boris Johnson's government has a very clear Brexit policy, as spelled out in the 2019 Conservative manifesto, on which we were elected. It is to exit the EU customs union, take back control of our laws, our money, control our own trade policy, and ensure we are in full control of our fishing waters. These negotiations, he said, must deliver on that if we are to retain the goodwill in the United Kingdom of those who voted for the Conservative Party, many for the first time. This scorecard, he says, will ensure that if and when a deal is agreed, the deal meets the criteria set out. Anything less will fail the test of what we promised would be vital to support Britain's sovereignty and British interests. Interestingly enough, Alexander Stafford, MP, who became the first ever Conservative MP for the constituency of Rother Valley, quoted in this as saying, the country will never forgive the Conservative Party if we do not uphold the manifesto commitments that led to the breaking of the Red Wall. This is critical. All the way through, Lord Frost has stood firm and has said the right things. But I really hope the mentality isn't, let's get a deal done because we need to be seen to get a deal. I really hope we don't enter into an agreement that sees renegotiations going on for years and years and years to come. Let me know what you're making of all this, guys. As I said, interesting timing, isn't it? As for what Michel Barnier is saying today, well, he tweeted, after technical discussions this weekend, negotiations continue online today with David Frost and our teams. Time is short, fundamental divergences still remain, but we are continuing to work hard for a deal. So that's the latest of what's going on, guys. As I say, interested to know what you make of all of that. I suspect I have some idea of what you might say, but do let me know in the comments what you're making of all this, what you think is going to happen, if Boris Johnson, if Lord Frost will hold firm. Let me know in the comments below, guys. And as ever, if you've enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful and informative, as I keep bringing you the very latest on the West Monster channel, do give this video a big thumbs up. Would really appreciate that. And become a supporter by hitting the join button to support real news. And of course, guys, as ever, thank you so much for watching.